Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to Catalyst Zero Hero in 30 seconds, or 30 minutes even, 30 seconds. That'll be a bit of a challenge. Um, you've got myself, Lee Connor. You've got who's from Catalyst BI. Noel, do you want to introduce yourself?
Good afternoon, everyone. Noel Watson, also from Catalyst BI.
And Chris.
Yeah, hi everyone, Chris Freestone from Snowflake.
Great. And Chris joins us today. So thank you very much for your time today, Chris. Today, what we're going to be covering, hopefully you've got this on the invite as well, is we've got kind of an overview of Snowflake to start off with, how you would integrate your Snowflake with your ecosystem, single sign-on, etc. And Noel's going to be doing that demo. And we've got a little bit of transformation. So how we basically import data as in essence and do a simple transformation. And then we'll share some data as well in the Snowflake platform and then question and answers. So we've got a few question and answers. If you do have any question and answers, please put them into the Zoom questions and we'll answer those at the end. But first off, who was Catalyst? So, we've got this strap line. We challenge organizations to look insights and drive performance. But it essentially is like we like to give value out of your data. So whether you're storing it, analyzing it, doing science on it, that's kind of what we do. So we do. We This is kind of an overview of where we've been. Founded in 2014, 65 staff, and we've got three divisions. So today we're talking about Catalyst BI. And we do mainly three things. So we do data management. So that's part of what we'll see today: data warehousing, ingestion, pipelining, data analytics. So how you put a dashboard together from that data warehouse, and then finally science. So how you do the science on that collated data, and then represent that and get value from it and actionable insights as well as learnings from that, and then feed that back into your data management warehouse. So, Chris, do you want to give us a kind of 5 minutes about, why Snowflake? What is Snowflake? What makes Snowflake special?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Lee. Yeah, I mean, in a nutshell, a lot of the Snowflake marketing material will say, Snowflake's easy, it's trusted, it's connected. But I suppose the bottom line with that is that it's all true, and that's really why our customers love us, right? So just to break things down a little bit, at the heart of Snowflake, you've got this elastic multi-cluster compute, which basically provides a single engine that supports every workload, and that's backed up by independently scalable compute clusters and storage, right? At its heart, Snowflake's a fully managed service. So this really means that it manages everything from availability, upgrades, security, and that ability to be instantly elastic. And obviously that reduces the time, the effort, the expertise that's required, which essentially then makes it almost a zero maintenance platform. And if you extend that out into the thinking around total cost of ownership, that obviously makes it really, really appealing. It provides a unified and built-in universal governance across users, workloads, and all of the clouds. And it also ensures things like compliance and data residency requirements are met. There's a lot of talk around Snowflake being, the multi-cloud offering, right? And really that's because we sit on all of the primary cloud service providers. So it offers those multi-cloud capabilities and effectively a global reach, which really allows businesses to effectively support any of their customers, regardless of the regions or the cloud service provider that they might be with. Now, why is that important? Well, effectively, those thousands of customers that are our customers, companies that are our customers rather, really rely on us to collaborate with their partners, their suppliers, and even actually internal departments, actually to be able to share live, ready to query data, not just data, but applications as well, AI applications. And really, they don't want to be constrained to who they're allowed to share that with, depending on regions and whether one party is on AWS and the other is on Azure. In addition to all of that, the platform's really one of its greatest assets, one of its greatest accolades, is that it's a pay-as-you-use model, right? So you only pay for what you use. You end up getting billed by the second effectively, which again, when you think about that total cost of ownership, it really reinforces that message. It's not just about the sticker price. It's about looking at the bigger picture of what is it costing you to deliver this service and these capabilities to your business. Snowflake's got a fantastic modern stack, which effectively allows the use of any language of your choice, making it super flexible, really adaptable. So that's everything from obviously your standard SQL, your Java, Scala, etc. But then we also have the ability to effectively load up any application built in any language for you to run within the Snowflake environment as well. And lastly, I suppose, the thing to say is Snowflake's platform is really designed to be super easy to use. It requires minimal training and really works across all technical skill levels. So much so that that really is one of the primary reasons why our customers keep coming back for more. I suppose a few quick stats just on Snowflake. We've got around 11,000 customers, of which 4,000 of those accounts are actively using Snowflake's AI and ML capabilities and services. Within the Snowflake marketplace, which is used for excuse me, sharing data and applications, there are over 3,000 listings from companies in there and individual shares. And then finally, in terms of our partnerships with the key cloud service providers, we're the number one marketplace solution on both AWS and Microsoft, meaning we actively drive an enormous amount of consumption for both of those CSPs, and we've got a fantastic partnership with them as a result. I guess that's about as much of an overview as I'll do in terms of the time that we've got, but thanks very much, Luke.
Thanks, Chris. I appreciate that. So I suppose the question that we always get asked, Noel, isn't it? It's kind of I think you took one of this comment from one of our customers, but we get this question asked all the time, don't we?
I did, Lee. Yes, thanks for that. The conversation obviously was a little bit more nuanced than this, and we went around the houses, but it boiled down to fundamentally, it feels a bit too hard, and we don't really want to engage with another platform at this time. So really, that's why we're doing this webinar today, is to just try and dispel some of that myth around Snowflake being complex and a standalone platform that you need to then maintain externally. So that's what we're going to try and demonstrate today is a scenario that we're going to start from first principles. I've just received my welcome email. I'm already active in Azure. I've got an Entra AD. We've got maybe a CRM system where we're doing exports of data into our cloud storage, and I want to be able to import that and use that and share that with trusted partners. So, without further ado, so as I say, I've got my email. I've signed up for a trial. Obviously, come to us if you want to engage on that, and we'd be happy to support you through that. But we're starting from first principles, and I've clicked on the link, and I've got my login page here asking me to set up an account here. So off we go.
And just a reminder to anyone on the call, if you have any questions while you're seeing this, then put them into the question and answers in Zoom.
Should not have tried to do an untested thing. Okay. So.
This just proves it's live, no. This is live. This is not recorded.
Okay, so I think it's best I try to do that in a incognito browser.
All right, there we go.
Okay, so we're off and running. So we can see as soon as we log in that Snowflake is trying to help us get started. So it's trying to show us either fast start templates, wizards, or links through to help topics to help us get started here. So I've actually logged into the Snowflake UI. So this is called Snowsite, and it allows you to pretty much do everything that you need to do in the platform. Not yet come across anything that I've not been able to do in here. And you can see we've got the navigation bar down the left. So my home page, which is all my recent activity, or I can search for anything that's going on in the platform, any projects that I've got going, be that SQL workbooks or Python or some of the other things that Chris described for us there. Got my data, so I can see all my databases that I've got access to, and can see handily Snowflake have loaded a little bit of sample data into the tenant right at the outset, so that I can just practice some SQL statements and practice navigation and see how the user interface is designed to work, and get a feel for that all in a safe space here. And of course, I can add my own data in as well at this stage. I've got data products. So in the marketplace, for example, we can see we've got either some paid or freely accessible data, such as finance and economics, or maybe I might decide to download and integrate, not download, sorry, just make available in my tenant. No data is ever moving anywhere. So really all we're doing is making it available to ourselves. We might download some weather data so that we could do some forecasting, sales forecasting potentially based on future weather forecasts. And we can do that all directly in platform as well through the AI and ML space. So we can see some of the functions available here, such as time-based forecasting, Cortex Analysts, which is a great new capability that's arrived, text to SQL, talk to my data capability through an LLM. We've also got the Cortex Search, allowing more of a chat GPT type experience to talk to your unstructured data. And again, all in the same platform. You're not needing to take your data out and make it available elsewhere. You can just engineer it and then use these great capabilities in here. And of course, we've got the admin panel in here where we can build those warehouses that Chris talked about with the flexibility to scale out or scale up our compute resource to match the workloads. And on top of that, we can build our users and roles and start to build our security model out. But actually, we don't want to do that. If we do that, we are a standalone platform. So what we want to do is use our existing user base, our existing organizational hierarchy that we've built in Entra AD, for example. Other cloud providers are available. But in this case, yeah, so we want to use our existing organizational information. The first way that we do that is to build a single sign-on. So I'll flip across into my Azure tenant here, and we can see that single sign-on in Azure is managed through what's known as an enterprise application. So I'm not going to build it in front of you. It takes a few minutes. It's a little bit dry to watch on the screen, a little bit boring, but I will talk just simply about what it is. Basically, all we need to do is bring across from Snowflake the URL of our tenant, and then Entra AD provides back a bit of information through this download XML file, which would be the certificate for the signing, as well as the entity ID, which we then feed back into Snowflake, and that creates that SSO capability, and we can now log on with our Entra AD account. So far so standard though. That single sign-on is not new. It's available in so many products these days. So that's not really the interesting bit, I think. What is the interesting bit is the provisioning. So again, within the enterprise application, we've got account provisioning. And what this allows us to do is define within Entra AD which users or which user groups should have access to Snowflake. And we can manage that directly in here, and those users are passed through what's called SCIM. So it's a system for cross-domain identity management that allows you to push users out of your Entra AD and into Snowflake. Why it's really interesting, actually, so we've got some users that I've sent across already into this tenant, but why it's really interesting is that we can, as well as sending across the users, we can start to send across some other extended schema attributes. So if I show the advanced options here, we see we've got a link here for edit attribute list for Snowflake. And if we click on that, we can see some of these properties that we can send across. So these are very much Snowflake specific attributes where we can start to define what access the user would have within Snowflake, but we can define that directly within our user entity within Entra. So when the user logs in for the first time, we can manage what's their default compute warehouse, what role should they be working under, what user type, even if we needed to send a service account across, and start to build all these additional properties out that are very much Snowflake related. But we can define them within Entra. On top of that as well, we can manage user groups. So we've got access to be able to send groups across as well. And as much as Entra AD can't actively assign a role to a user in Snowflake, you can schedule queries to run automatically that will pick up users belonging to specified groups and assign roles to those users within Snowflake. So effectively, you're creating a full role-based access control through your organizational hierarchy within Entra. So which is pretty good, and basically allows you to just use Snowflake for the data engineering, and you can do all the security in Entra.
So from an enterprise perspective, no, that means, if I've already got those groups, those users set up for my dev, test, production users or consumption users who just want access to that data, I can just use the existing groups that I've probably already got in Azure, maybe.
Absolutely. So it is fully integrated. Okay, so let's go back to our scenario then. So we want to pull in some data. We want to basically do some transformations on that, make it analytics ready, and then we want to share that back out to a partner. So we've got some data here. We've got a storage blob with a container called Snowflake in cloud. And if I just look at some of the data in here as an example, we've got some sales CSV. So as I mentioned earlier, maybe we've exported these from our CRM. We could integrate directly into database and land the data directly, but in this case, I've just got some data that we've exported here. So I want this to be available in Snowflake. And actually, what I can do when I log into my tenant, so you can see the single sign-on capability there. So what we can do is just start to create an integration, actually, and we could do this programmatically. We can write the SQL code that will create the integration, but actually there's lots of wizards to make this stuff really straightforward. So in this case, I'm going to integrate to an Azure storage account. So I'm going to pick up I don't have a database yet, so I'm going to create one, which we'll call sales data. And I just need the URL and some credentials for the storage location. So I'll just nip back to Entra. And if I look on here, I can generate a SAS token. So I'm going to need a read and list permission just to be able to pick up the file list out of that location. Grab that token, take it back to Snowflake, and you'll see I've just pasted the whole thing into this box, and it knows, it understands enough to be able to split into a URL and the credentials, and I can click create. And we're off and running. So now I've got a native link between Snowflake in this database and the data that exists in that storage location. And if I continue to drill down into here, we can see through the stage into the raw ingest, you'll see we have the two files that I just showed you in Azure. So we can now start to work on these. Again, I could open a workbook and start coding away and create table formats ready to load this data in. But actually, I've got more wizards for this as well, so it's really straightforward. I can load into an existing table if I want, but I don't have one, so I'm going to create a new one. The wizard gives me a quick preview of the data, tells me what columns I'm going to get and what data formats, so I'm happy with all of that. Let's load that data in. Okay, it gives me a quick preview. Right, so I'm happy that that's in there, but I can't get any qualitative analysis out of those. It's all ID fields, so we need some dimensional information to go with it. So we'll go through the same process. Loading my customers table. So for some reason, this time it's not understood that the first row is a header field, and it's proposing column names of C1, C2, etc. But actually, we can override that. We can help it understand the context of the data and give it a bit more information if the wizard has missed the mark. So just by defining that the first line is a header, we've now cleaned up that problem. We've now got correct column names and we can preview the data, etc. So off we go and load that data in. And actually, if we want to query that data, some useful features in here. So it's written the statement for me just to look at the first 10 rows of data. I'm going to click on the play symbol to query that. We can see, okay, so it's telling us, it's giving us a preview of the information, telling us how long the query took. A bit more metadata about the query, so what compute warehouse and what role it's run on. But actually, interestingly as well, it's giving me metadata and quality information about the data that's in the file as well. So we can see it's all good quality data, etc. I can actually start to visualize data as well. There's nothing in this table that would be worth visualizing, but that might be interesting to come back to later. So let's have a look at that. So the purpose of this was to share that data externally. And I've got an option to share it internally to existing users in this environment. I can share it externally to a non-Snowflake customer, or I can share it externally to an existing Snowflake customer. And that's the one I want to do at the moment. So just to keep it clean and keep that new data away from my raw data, from my raw ingestion process, I'm just going to create a new schema. So let me just reshape this a little bit. So the first thing I'm going to do in my database is create a new schema, which is the statement I've just highlighted there. And if I refresh this now, you'll see we've got the sales view. I'm going to create an analytics view now, which basically will sum the quantities within the file by the customer ID. So off we go creating that. And if we look in here now, we've got the views, got the sales by country. And if we want to see the data that's in that, we can do that down here and we can see, okay, so it's now created that sales view that's analytics ready. And if I do look at the chart option now, it starts to make sense in that we can start to visualize very quickly, a few different chart formats, a few different layouts, how we want to sort, etc. So, we can start to get some early insight into that information and just quality check it, understand it before we share it out to our end users or business partners. Okay, so moving on then. So we're now at a position that we can share our view with our external party, and we can do that through the data marketplace. We can use this private sharing option where we can see we've got an option now to share data up here. Can put it on the marketplace and monetize that data, but I don't think I'm going to get much income from 500 rows of made up sales data. So let's just publish it to some specified consumers. And I'm actually going to publish it to the account that I just signed up for. So we need to give it a name, specify who we're going to send that to. We need to define what we're sharing. So we can see in here, we've got a list of things, of the entities that are available to share. So I'm just going to share that sales by country view that we just created. We just need to give it a little description. And then we say, who do you want to share it with? So this is actually the Snowflake account ID that we want to share to. So I'm just going to put the information in there for the account that I just signed up for. And then we can alert the person at the other end who might be interested in that. So let's alert myself that we're going to share that data and publish. Okay, so very quickly we've managed to share that data. Um, we can see that listing is live, and actually, if I flip across to the account that I've just set up now, if we go into the equivalent space um, within here and look at data products and private sharing, we can see that private list is showing that I've just created. So published just now, made available to me. So I have to accept it into my Snowflake tenant. Otherwise, potentially I could just get spammed with data that I'm not interested in. So I'm accepting it in now, specify which roles should have access to that data. So we've got security on that. You'll see here, no storage cost. We're not recreating the data. It's not a copy. We've just got access to the data that exists in the other tenant. So the data, no data is going outside of Snowflake. It's all secure and fully up to date. And I can click get, and that data is now ready. So very quickly there, I can just flip back to my slide deck. So within about 15 minutes, or maybe just a little bit longer, we've managed to connect to Entra for single sign-on. We've provisioned the users down to Snowflake through Skim. We're connected to an Azure storage blob and pulled the data into a table, and then we've processed that into analytics-ready data and shared it back out to a trusted partner.
Fabulous. Thanks, Noel. That is super simple, isn't it, guys? So before we got into that, I can see that we've got a handful of questions that have come through. So thank you for that. If you have got any more questions, then please put them in now. We'll take questions through Zoom. But I think the big takeaway for me on that one was just how quick you managed to do that, Noel. So set up an account and get an SSO, get some data in, and share that data externally to another account. And you've done virtually no coding. The coding that I did do was that just that looked fairly standard SQL, was it?
Absolutely, bog standard SQL, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I think even I could have managed that. So yeah. So super. So we do have a few questions. So first off, right, I've got sorry, just my interface is just slow on here. So first question is, can I install Snowflake locally? Chris, maybe one for you to take.
Yeah, sure. So in a nutshell, no, it's a cloud only service, as you might expect. We do there are ways of connecting to local data, right? But from the point of view of the actual installation and so on, and historically it was a question we used to get from a lot of banks and companies that were quite regulated in terms of their obligations. But no, we are cloud only, and the fact that a lot of banks and pharmaceutical companies, etc., who are heavily regulated users should be a testament to the security around.
Yeah, no problem. Next one, which is connected to that, can I buy Snowflake through AWS stroke Azure credits? So can you use your credits in the AWS and Azure? Can you use that to buy Snowflake? I think that's the question.
Yeah, so it's something that comes up quite a bit actually from the point of view of when we're talking to customers who've maybe got existing commitments to Azure, to AWS, and so the perception might be, oh well, I need to be spending that on AWS services or Azure services or whatever. The reality is, as I said earlier, Snowflake is the number one marketplace solution for both AWS and Azure. We generate the number one amount of consumption for them, so we're fantastic partners with them, just because of the amount of consumption we drive. And yes, absolutely, you can buy your Snowflake instance or your provisioning of your Snowflake environment as part of your Azure marketplace, your environment, your account, or indeed your AWS instance, and so on. So it's a great use of your existing credits, if you like, or your committed spend, and certainly helps you retire a lot of that in a way that actually will isn't just about consuming services, but actually you're able then to apply that to a number of capabilities that are uniquely inside of Snowflake, and as I was saying earlier, then allows you to open the door to sharing that data outside of just that single platform.
So yeah, then you can choose obviously which country you want to host it in, which
Exactly.
tenant, all your security will happen around of it, etc. Okay, that's great. Another question, I think one for Noel. How does Snowflake help customers who use ClickView, ClickSense Enterprise on-prem and the ETL that's already done within Click? Bit of a
That's yeah. So an
hardware.
interesting question. I think
It's an interesting question.
um, so Click have actually moved to a new pricing model around data analyzed. So they've moved away from limited numbers of users being able to log in, but the new pricing metric is around data analyzed. So it now makes much more economic sense to host your data in Snowflake, do your transformation in Snowflake, get your data analytics ready, and then just consume the final part of that into Click. So as much as that may not be leveraging the full capability of the Click platform, from a pure pounds and pence perspective, it very much does make sense. The other side of that as well is that Click through their cloud platform offer the option to unload data, so you can store out Parquet, you can store out flat files. So actually, you could do your ETL in Click and push those files out into storage accounts that could then get pulled into Snowflake, so that you're making that data available out to those trusted partners and through the data marketplace as well. So there's definitely a couple of options there.
Great. And a couple more, I think. So, one for you, Chris. This is a good question, what sets Snowflake apart from Microsoft Fabric?
So,
It's quite a big question, that.
so
So,
it's
just,
all encompassing.
yeah,
I think it's a common question we get asked, and the reality is as I was saying earlier, we're fantastic partners with Microsoft. We just happen to compete a little bit in terms of the Fabric side of things. Fabric, I think, you know, it has clearly got a lot of potential, and from the point of view of the feedback we're getting is is when customers are evaluating some of the questions we ask our partners to ask customers is, you know, we evaluate based off of proven proven projects delivered and things that are live and so on and so forth. Obviously, from a Snowflake perspective, we've been around for a number of years now. I think we got onto the Azure platform in 2018. Typically, customers that are looking at Fabric have got committed spend on the Azure platform, and really that's an opportunity for them to evaluate, is Fabric the right choice for them, or is there an opportunity to maybe evaluate Snowflake side by side, just simply because of the flexibility, the ease of use, etc., the proven ability that it has on that platform in the marketplace around it. As I say, to a greater or lesser extent, you've got to look at the integration that Snowflake has got with the overall Azure stack, and the proven integration that's there, with really looking at the confidence that you might need for any project that you're doing. So, without spending too long on it, and spelling it out for everybody, I suppose the guidance that we'd always give is evaluate based off of real world projects that have been delivered and proven references, before committing too much effort and energy on several proof of concepts.
yeah, and I think you just hit the nail on the head there with the last couple of words that you said there, Chris, was with proof of concept, was really, from a Fabric perspective, it's something that obviously Catalyst can deliver as well as Snowflake. that we see a lot of customers who are wanting a modern data warehouse, looking at both because you'd be silly not to, at other options as well. But generally, it's a Microsoft versus Snowflake conversation, and I think one of the big questions here is cost. It comes down to cost and which one is going to be more cost effective from your training of your developers and end users, but also from the hosting and the compute power that you need versus the compute warehouse power and how you can get built out of Snowflake. The two do come at a different cost level depending on how you're using that, and can you project what your size of data, how many queries you're gonna utilize, etc. So yeah, we've got a number of things in the kit bag that can help you. Catalyst that will do a sizing on both sides of the fence, as well as what features and functions. As all vendors, Microsoft will tell you that everything works with everything, and sometimes not quite. So yeah, give us a shout, Sam, if you want a little bit more help and advice on that one. So great. And we've got one final one. What methods can be used to load data into Snowflake? So we saw one there, Noel. I think there's a question for yourself, Noel. I think we saw one method, which was just taking CSVs and putting it into a stage, which is great for, old school dumps or just dumps of data that you've already got, and you don't want to share, you don't want to cut paste, you don't want to integrate. You get a nice smooth integration there. But if you wanted to do a direct database connection, maybe, or something like that, it's probably where the question's coming from. Correct me if that isn't, whoever asked that question. Sorry, I'm just seeing anonymous on the questions. What other options have we got there, Noel?
Yeah, so the demo I did there specifically was around flat file data, which there's lots of capability in Snowflake to manage that, whether it's triggered message driven updates that automatically pull in new data, or even almost data streaming. But actually, there's other methods as well. So Snowflake have started to make available some direct connectors out to databases. So through Postgres and MySQL, I spotted yesterday, there are some agents that can run on the database that allow it to push the data directly into Snowflake. But also there's plenty of other tools out there as well, such as Fivetran or Stitch that allow push down SQL to land that data automatically, and literally within 2 or 3 clicks you're replicating elements of your source database into Snowflake to start that transformation process. So really it's very much horses for courses around that, but whatever the data is, wherever it sits, you can get it into Snowflake.
And I suppose it's also whether you want to do ELT or ETL as well, Noel, isn't it?
Of course,
Do you just want to land your data and transform it as you're landing it, or do you want to land your data and then transform it using the pushdown SQL? And it depends on your scenarios. Again, uh, if those questions and queries are singing true with yourself, then please reach out. Our LinkedIn, what are they? QR codes are in the bottom. So please reach out to us, and that will allow you to book direct time in either with Noel or myself as well. So please message us out. You can book some time with us, and yeah, we can answer your questions. So fabulous. I think that's the end of the questions. Thank you for everyone's time this afternoon, and yeah, we'll look forward to the next in the series.